In this final and fourth pre-video, session 5, we're going to look at issues of control. Now, we've had in the previous videos looked at how over time, starting with a partnership agreement, going through licensing, franchising, R&D, commitment production agreement, all the way through to some kind of IJV. And during that time, in terms of getting to the IJV, we may have a number of activities going on. There's criteria for partner selection. So we're looking for, in terms of partner selection, compatibility, related to issues of similarity and fit. All of this leads us to form an IJV. Recall that in terms of IJV, often we have parent companies, parent 1, parent 2, who through an equity stake provide commitment, and there'll be some form of agreement formed, and we're going to leave the aspect of agreements on IJV to the lecture, but with that, through that agreement, there's some kind of international joint venture formed. And in that international joint venture, it is designed to achieve certain goals, often in some kind of project format. So there's a kind of assumed limit. Though of course, it doesn't. Experience may mean that the IJV continues, but potentially it's a limited project. And the question arises in terms of the IJV is, how is this realised? How do we operationalise the IJV in order to achieve those goals? And this is going to be the focus of this video, and it relates to who manages the IJV, what does control look like, and what do we need to be aware of in order to ensure some success in the IJV once we have set it up. So in terms of control, we have a definition here by Jan Lau, and we can see that control relates very much to the decisions around strategy and operational decisions. And one of the decisions that the two parents have to make is, how do they control the IJV, and how might they control that? And in controlling that, it's all around issues of how power is divided. And again, it's a form of reciprocity. How can we ensure that both sides feel that they have equal power in the IJV when they've put in equal and reciprocal resources? So the first way of looking at control is to look generally at how we might, or the extent of control. The first type of control is a dominant control, where the IJV is managed by one partner. This may be fraught with difficulties in many ways, and potentially is designed for early failure, partly because the whole point of an IJV very much is to gain access is to use the resources of one company in order to create synergies, in order to create opportunities that might not otherwise exist. There is shared control, where both both parties exercise a high degree of control. This can potentially lead to slowing down of decision making, because what we have here is two parties where there'll be involvement of negotiation around decision making and so on. However, one of the aspects of that is that learning does take place, and each company can learn of the other. We may go down split control, where each partner looks to deal with a particular facet of the organisation. The issue potentially here is that how do you coordinate the different roles and coordinate to make one kind of organisation, and of course coordinated. We need to coordinate those roles in order to get some kind of coordinated action. There may be rotating control, where you have parent 1, parent 2, and they basically take it in turns. Issue here may be about continuity, and whether the strategic objectives change with the changing parent. Of course, one of the ways rotating control can work is if partner selection has been good, where compatibility has been good, and indeed, as we'll find when we look at how we come to agreements on IJVs, whether some of these issues have been discussed beforehand and dealt with. And finally, an independent IJV, where neither partner or parent is involved in the management, and it's left to local managers to come to some kind of state of affairs. Again, that is possible, where if you very much have an agreement which is tightly developed, where the IJV is really seen as a project with a start, with a finish, and with clear objectives, then potentially one can leave that to local management. The other type of control, if this is kind of generally how we share control, then we can also look at the focus of control, which is another way of putting it is, well, what are we controlling? So we can control specific activities, decisions, processes. The focus may be on the IJV coming back to the parents on something of strategic importance. One of the specifics of joint ventures is, because of the complementarity of resources and the fit, that what the different partners focus on is what they actually bring to the IJV. So a foreign partner may be bringing technology, quality, marketing, and that will be something for them to manage. And the local partner will manage what they bring is knowledge of the local situation, and understanding of culture, so therefore around personnel, compliance in terms of any legal regulations that are required, and of course access to distribution and other partners. So this might be something that is balanced. We're just going to talk about this in terms of control, and in the lecture we will try and bring all of these together into looking at how eventually an agreement on IJV is formed, and what might constitute the elements within an agreement. Okay, thank you, and I look forward to seeing